Every lesson is a lyric in the universal song. Oh, the lessons of the journey, I weave them in my song.
Hello and welcome to Lessons of the Journey, where we discuss the stuff we actually needed to learn in school with Coach Jen and Coach Nicole.
Yay, we're so happy you joined us today. Thank you for being here. Coach Nicole, today we are talking about a really fun thing. We're talking about friendship. Do we need to define friendship as our topic today?
That would probably be a good idea. Let's do that. Friendship is defined as the emotions or conduct of friends, the state of being friends. Now, if you know Coach Jen and I, you know we hate definitions that use the word. So we're going to define friend. Because hopefully that'll be a little better. A person whom one knows and with whom one has a bond of mutual affection, typically exclusive of sexual or family relations. You can call your partner your best friend, but if you're sleeping with him, you're more a partner than a friend. So friend is someone who you're not related to and who you are in a friend relationship with.
Yeah, I could go with that.
So that's our definition for today.
How long have we been friends?
You make me do math.
I know.
Okay, let's see.
21? I think it's 2021.
I think it was 2021 also.
Was I up high when we became friends?
No, you had a brand new baby.
Then it must have been 22.
Okay, yes, that's right. Just born when we first started connecting, even though we were supposed to have connections way before, but that didn't work out. Well, you decided to have a baby instead of come work for me.
Crazy how that happened.
Yes.
I look at the calendar. I'm like, oh, we've only been friends for 2 years. Isn't it so interesting that because I have such a fond affection towards you, I think, no, we must have known each other for a very long time. I have my own version, but how did we become friends in your mind?
Well, first of all, I agree with you. In life, we do find people who we feel an instant connection with. I always think it's like a value or an integral or something like that really lines up with that person. And when that happens, you just feel connected with that person. You feel like that's a safe space. I feel like that's what you and I had right from the get-go.
I agree.
So we met because I was running the coaching program for Keller Williams for all the islands in Hawaii. I was told I needed to connect with you. And I think it was Andy. She's like, you got to meet Jen. You got to meet Jen. And then we got connected because originally we were supposed to connect when you were pregnant. Mm-hmm. And you were like, I don't want to take this on while this is happening. Yeah. And then you had the baby. And for some reason you decided, you tell that part of the story.
Yeah, I was really non-committal. Andy was after me hard. Come over, come coach, come be with us. I can't commit. I'm pregnant. I'm going to have a newborn. There's other things going on in our lives personally. I just cannot commit to this role. And then I had the baby, Max, in October. And then at the beginning, I thought, I want something to do. As if a 2-month-old wasn't enough.
Right.
Oh, and a 2-year-old at that time.
Yeah.
And so I decided to come on board. You and I met initially. It was almost like interview style. I think that there was a mutual respect during that time. I think that after I did all the tests that are required, you had some back office information available on me that I wasn't aware of. I don't know what was happening for you then, but when we did meet, it was like almost interview style. I decided, yes, I want to come on. I want to do this. Nicole would be great to work with. We were really more just like colleagues initially. Yeah. I do remember there was an incident with another coach and I was very interested in figuring it out. I was very confused as to the situation. I don't remember if I asked you to be like a moderator or whose idea it was, but you ended up being in the conversation. And I was real sure of myself in that. And so I don't know if my conduct there that you observed was something that kind of thrust you into knowing a little bit more about me in depth or what. So you would have to speak on that.
Yeah, I would say that is 100% accurate. I was so impressed with how you handled yourself. It was a very volatile situation. It could have gotten heated. You were sort of being, from my perspective, attacked a little bit, but you held your cool and you were so professional. I was just very impressed with the way that you showed up that day. It was a situation, I, being the person who was in charge of the coaching program, I had to work things out with the coaches and make it happen. I don't remember all of the details, but I do remember that I was really amazed by how you showed up, how you were professional, but you were also kind, even when kindness wasn't being returned to you. You stayed in that space, a level of who you were, because I already liked you. I probably didn't love you as much as I love you now, but then after that, I was like, I kind of love her. I kind of love her.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. I got to practice all of my skills in that particular situation. So thank you for acknowledging that. That's nice. You know, I felt a mutual respect. I did feel defensive in that moment. And as we continued along and the way you were running the program, and there's something about your personality, just you're direct, but you're fun. And I think that you and I are very similar in perspective in a lot of ways. And so I would watch you run this program and I would go, wow, yeah, I'm impressed by this woman. I really enjoy this working relationship. And we had never met in person because we were on different islands. So our only interactions had been like via Zoom or on the phone. And then not until we went on a retreat, it was a coaching program thing that you picked me up from the airport and I walked out and I saw that you were a tall person. And I went, and holy shit, she's tall. This is my new favorite person on earth. I didn't know you were, because I'm 6 feet tall and you're very tall. What are you, 5'10"?
5'10", yeah.
Yeah. I played volleyball in college. And so I was used to walking around with tall girls all the time. And so I go, and she's tall. She's my new best friend. I don't know what it was about that, but it made you real. And it just solidified that you were like the best. From there on, I'm like, me and Nicole are friends. Yay.
I remember that. Yes. And I remember you going, tall, I love it. You were so excited. Yeah, that was fun. I was going through photos the other day and I came up with that picture and I was going to send it to you, but it was like 7 a.m. my time. I'm okay. Got to wait till it's actually
That's okay.
daytime in Hawaii. But I will send you that.
You and I knew before that. That was the first time we met in person, which is strange. It sounds like we were internet dating or something. You and I knew that because we were going on that trip with other people, and the house that we were renting, you and I were like, no, me and you, we have to be in the same room. I don't know these other people. I don't think that I want to share that space. You and I were like, can it be us, please? We knew that, okay, I like her enough to share space. And so that was it. Yes. And the depth to which we got to know each other on that trip. You know, I felt like I was in grade school again, like staying up talking. Really, we talked all night. You learned so much about me. I learned so much about you. It was a really kind of a vulnerable trip anyway, because we were in a coaching camp. We were really diving into ourselves, let alone like how we would serve others. And that just solidified our friendship for me. No judgment, just so much appreciation for you as an individual. After that, I just went, she's in it. She's the tribe, whether she likes it or not, you're in it.
Yeah, I would agree. That was a very vulnerable situation. We were talking about a lot of things. We got months of interactions in just those couple nights. What was it, like 2 nights or something? 3 nights?
Yeah, and we stayed up late. And I'm a sleeper. I need to go to sleep. But it was very natural conversation. And I think that's part of when I think about friendships, it is a very natural, like if we had to force those interactions, we wouldn't feel the way about each other that we feel. It felt very natural. We stayed up. I felt like a kid in school again at a slumber party from back in the day. And only because it felt so natural did that continue on in our friendship. But is that the way it always goes? Because 2 years of friendship, it's only 2 years. I'm looking at the calendar. Is that the way it always goes? Do you have any friendships that ended up being friendly that didn't start off in a natural course?
The one that comes to mind was when I was very young. I believe it was first grade. I met who became my best friend for many, 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 many years, and she wanted to kick my ass. She was my bully. Seriously, she was my bully. I don't know why, and I don't even know how it transitioned, but she was a tough girl and we became best friends. She's no longer alive, but we were friends until adulthood.
Wow.
And yeah, she was who I would have considered my best friend all through school. Like I said, she wanted to kick my ass. And I was mouthy when I was young, but at that point in my life, I wasn't that mouthy. I was mouthy in junior high and high school, but not first grade. She was the bully. You're the new girl. I'm going to get you. And I was just like,
Are you the new
okay.
girl? Okay.
Yeah, I was the new girl. And then I don't know how it evolved, but somehow by the next year, we were best friends and so close. Yeah. So
I love that story.
So it doesn't always start out that way.
That's okay.
How about for you, Coach Jen? Does it always start out that way for you?
Gosh, I feel like I've lived so many different lives over the course of my 43 years. And so when I think back, childhood friendship is really interesting. It's like, oh, you're in my class. Oh, we see each other on the playground. I guess we're friends. And I played all the sports. I think that most of my friends were on my sports teams. My parents were very involved. When you're in a team aspect, you're kind of like an automatic group of trust.
Yeah.
And I never felt like a cool kid. I look back and I go, it probably wasn't the way I remember living it. And I still know some of those girls, now women into our 40s. And some of them I know better than others because as we grow and develop, I don't have a lot of friendships that lasted. I wouldn't say, oh, I have my friend from when we were 5. I don't have that. My very best women friends are semi-recent. My 2 best friends on the mainland, I met playing volleyball, and I didn't start playing volleyball until I was 14. Really, it was high school and then after college that I developed those 2 strong friendships. And I think it was the similarity in interests. I can't think of anybody where we were like frenemies before we were actually friends. I don't think that exists in my life. Really, most of my very cool women friends that I love and really, really crave time and energy with are fairly new, like in adulthood for me.
I'm kind of in that same situation. I have 2 friends right now that are kind of the longer term friends. I have the one person I consider my best friend. We met on Facebook. It's a very funny story. We actually had somebody on Facebook that we were friends with, but weren't friends with, didn't really like this person. And the person posted something really crappy. I wanted to respond and I was like, how can I respond? And this person responded in such an eloquent way that I DM'd her and said, I need to know you. And she looked me up and was like, is this a crazy person? Because she's friends with this person. And we went to lunch and we were inseparable since then. That had to be like 10 years ago. And it was just funny.
I've heard that we're friends because we hate the same people. That's what we can go with. Yeah. I've heard that before as a reason to be friends with somebody. I think that's really funny.
Oh my gosh.
I have acquaintances from younger, my mom's best friend. I grew up with her kids. Every time I go back to California, I see them, but we don't keep in touch. I wouldn't call out that person as, one of my 5. I did read that really humans only have the capacity for around 5 deep relationships, friendly relationships, non-partner relationships. And I started with the fingers. I've got 6 and everybody else is like, oh, I guess I'll handle you today. You're one of my friends and you're an ocean and a couple states away.
I have one friend who's geographically close to me. Everyone else who I say are my close friends, none of them live in my state. I have one in my state and that's it. Funny because when you were talking about sports teams and we're in school together, so we're friends, there was I can't remember what it was. I think it was a podcast, and they were talking about how they had these people who all worked together and they have all these friendships going on. And one of the groups had to move to the next floor down. And all of the friendships dissipated because they weren't in the same geographic place. This was friendships of adults. Geography has a lot more to do with who you create friendships with and who you spend time with. You and I are friends because of a job that neither of us actually are affiliated with anymore. We do our own thing now. I just think it's very interesting that there are so many friendships built through the geography.
And desire's got to be there to maintain that. We have like 1,500 acquaintances, right, in our lives. Like somebody that I could know their name by looking at them, or the same book where I got the 5 is the same that is saying that about 1,500 is who we have the capacity to quote know, just know in an affiliate sort of way, not at all a friendship or even the depths of a deep friendship, right? But just know. How often does the word friend get thrown around? Like, oh, that's my friend. I hear my 10-year-old all the time. Oh, that's my friend from school. That's my friend from school. Do you play together? No. What? Are they
Yeah.
friends? He's in my class. I think we're both interested in the words, but really, how do you know who your friend is?
Well, does anybody ever really say, oh, that's my acquaintance? No, we use that term.
I know that one.
Openly. Oh, I know her. Oh, that's my friend. That's just, I know somebody. We use that word interchangeably. And I think in this scenario, or at least for today's podcast, we're talking about actual friends, actual connections with people. I have some friends that we can go 6 months and not talk. And it's completely fine. And when we do talk, we're catching up. When we're near each other, we connect. And when I'm going to see her, I'll go visit her where she actually lives. She's my friend. I count her as a friend, but we don't talk every day. We don't even talk every week or every month sometimes. And she is absolutely one of my closest friends. Just because we don't connect every day, she feels a different friendship need for me. And I think there are scenarios where you have different needs from friends. You need
absolutely
those friends you're connecting with consistently. I have other people that I talk to minimum every week, and we talk often and not crazy amounts. I hear these stories of people that talk like multiple times a day, and I'm like, do you not have a family? And these people have like kids and stuff. I don't have time for that. That doesn't mean I don't love you. I just don't want to talk to you that much.
That brings up a good point as far as a frustration, because I feel so good with these people. And that's probably what really draws them to me as humans that I want to be friends with. But what's the frustration there? You just mentioned lack of time. We have busy schedules. We have families. We have work. How do we maintain these things over time with how busy life gets?
I think it's like anything else, Coach Jen. I think you spend time doing what matters to you and what you choose to spend time with, especially if you're good with your calendar. I actually have in my calendar every Friday at 2:00, I have a text a friend, and it's my time to text people that are more acquaintances, but people who I care to stay connected with. They're a little more than acquaintances. By definition, they are friends to me, but they're not that 5 friend group, that super close group. This is people I want to stay in connection with because I do care for them or have a fondness for them.
I'm prompted to ask you this. Has your version of friends or friendship changed over the course of your life? And I'm seeing you nod. So how so?
Yeah. And I think this is an age thing. I'm in an interesting situation because I'm 53, so I'm 10 years older than you, but I'm also married to a man who's 14 years older than me. So imagine 24 years older than you. I am closer to that group of people who are closer to end of life. And you start to realize the preciousness of your time. It gets you real clear that you are not going to spend time with people you do not enjoy being around, or that do not fulfill you, or do not show up in a way that serves you. I definitely think that gets accelerated. And my husband and I have had this conversation. Why are we spending time with X and Y when we don't even enjoy being around them? Let's not do that anymore. I don't have time for that anymore. I'm past 50s.
Yeah.
I'm headed on the down at this point.
I know myself too well at this point for some bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. How about for you, Coach Jen? Has it changed over your lifetime?
Yeah, absolutely. Now having children, it's interesting watching this. Seems like when you're younger, or at least for me and what I'm seeing of these boys, is that quantity when you're younger really plays into that basic need as a human to need to belong. If there's more people around me, I feel safer, I feel belonging. Now, whether they're nice to me or not is not necessarily a consideration, because it's our perspective of the people around when we're younger. Oh, that's the cool person, I want to be in proximity. And now when you break it down, they really only come home talking about 3 to 5 names. But when we're out in town, oh, that's my friend from school. That's my friend from school. So it's a quantity thing. Certainly over the course of time, has it developed into, I don't want to be friends with everybody. I don't want everybody to like me. That is way too much pressure. It is the quality of the people that I choose that has shifted profoundly. I've also changed as an adult going through all of my 43 years. So I've kind of developed this I don't really want to look up when I'm in a store because the small talk I can't. I have no desire for small talk. Some people just like to hear themselves talk. And don't look at me if I'm in Costco. Please don't stop me. Please don't make me talk about the weather. My whole being craves depth at this point in my life. And that certainly is how it's evolved for me, is that I'm good with these 5 or 6 people. The wholeness. There's no one person that knows everything about me, but there's 5 or 6 people that know most of the things about me in different orders and pieces.
And anything they don't know is just stuff you forgot.
Probably. Or we just haven't gotten to it yet.
We'll
I forget because I'm 43 and I've got 3 kids. If you didn't ask me a specific question, I didn't think to bring it up. But I'm also an open book. So if you want to ask me, I think that's actually what I appreciate about you too, because you and I are extremely transparent. We're like, well, shit, this is the story. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
That's what I appreciate most in my adult friendships. I'm friends with a woman who showed a property that I had listed a couple of years ago. She was on the phone the whole time. I just remember watching her and going, I think I like her. I think I want to be friends with her. And 2 weeks later, I called and I was like, hey, I don't know if you remember me. This is weird, but I think we should be friends. You don't really do that as adults. You certainly do that as children. Hey, will you be my friend? Yes. Now we go to all the slumber parties until we decide what was this for anyway. Yes, it certainly has evolved.
Yeah, I think you have some really good points. We all want to be a part of love and belonging. And I know we're talking about the frustrations. I know one, it can be distance for people. I personally experienced this in that a year and a half ago, I moved back to an area I used to live in, but I lived 35 minutes away from where I currently live. I had nothing. I had my one friend. I needed connection. And I did feel like I had to go through those how are you conversations. I had to get there. One of the things I did was join the gym because I was like, I need a gym, I need classes, I need to work out, and I want to meet people. I started to meet people and I started to get to know people in the classes. Hey, what's your name? It's very interesting. I think for a lot of people, there's a fear of saying hi to somebody who you don't know or that is a stranger because there's a, oh my gosh, they're going to think I'm stupid. Yet the majority of times, especially when you're in like a gym classes, everyone wants to feel a part of that experience. So when you say that to someone and then they ask you your name, they feel included too. So you're feeling included, they're feeling included, and you're making these connections. I'm the kind of person where when I'm in a gym class, I want to know the names of all the people surrounding me. And it turns out I met a couple of closer friends too, which has been amazing. It's given me that connection because I was lacking. I told my husband, I'm 53 years old and I need friends. So I had to go out and make friends.
Yeah.
And I had to become that connector, which is not my natural ability. You know, Coach Jen, I don't love all people. My tribe's a little small, but I found some really great connections because I did venture out of what was comfortable. I have these connections now, and some of them I will be closer to than others. And that's okay too, because I need to have that tribe. And I know that about myself.
Yeah. Well, it's a basic human need. We've got food, water, shelter. The need to belong really is. That goes back to our, we're not far off from the cavemen that we used to be. Being in a tribe, it's a safety thing and a security thing. We as humans, it's a need to be seen and to be heard. And if we're not feeling seen and heard, it's a very lonely way to go about things. And for me, it's dangerous. I ruminate. It's not a good thing. Believing the things that I think, not a good way to go. And so finding the people who I trust for their perspective. I might not agree with a lot of who somebody is, but that doesn't mean that I can't respect them or really be interested in their perspective because I see who they are, what they do. Like you and I, we don't necessarily agree on all things politically or otherwise. And that does not matter because we have mutual respect for each other.
Yes.
Because I think that we have a really deep understanding that we are good people at heart. Right. That I trust and respect who you are and maybe the way that you would go about making decisions. And I just have to believe that your intent is as good as my intent. And that's a lot of trust and vulnerability. That's tough, especially as an adult.
I agree with you 100%. For you and I, there's definitely a mutual respect, there's mutual understanding, and I like you as a person. And you are correct. We have certain things that we know are different value systems, and that's okay. And yet, when you really dive into it, we actually have very similar value systems. We kind of want the same thing. It's so funny. People think if you have opposing political views, you want different things, or if she's religious and you're not, you want different things. It's not necessarily true. We're very similar. And I love that. I think it's important. Have you noticed in yourself, in your friendships of the past, shifting priorities that maybe cause friendships to fall out? Because I think that's also a frustration for people.
Yes. You've heard the saying, reason, season, lifetime.
Yes.
And it's been tough for me to feel like I've lost a friendship based on a new reason or season. And when we share such depth with somebody and you start to figure out that relationship no longer serves the greater good in either the friendship or you as an individual, or, you learn about yourself and you go, oh, I'm going to do things differently. And looking back, it all makes sense. And yet in the moment, it's like, how could we have been so close for so long? And now this one thing. And I think that the reason that's hard is because we're so inside of ourselves. We have difficulty understanding that person has their own thoughts, beliefs, feelings. Going back to the 4 agreements that I didn't know then, that I know so well now, they're just not ready to go with you. And that's okay. We're all on a different path. And it's great when somebody can go with you and support you into the moving, shifting, shaping person that you are. If they can't, that's okay too. Because they're on their own jam and eventually they're going to be making moves that you may or may not agree with. Some have been tougher than others. There have been strong friendships from like high school that didn't serve me in adulthood, and those have been tough. We're more acquaintances now because I don't know if you ever, and some people maybe do, just completely shut somebody off. And there were moments of that too when we're all finding ourselves. Now, some of them I'm like, oh, good God, ooh, that was a lot for me. I had to go, but some of them were tough. This is interesting. I dated a guy 100 years ago, and he was best friends with this person. Awful human in my eyes. And they were estranged for a number of years out of high school. This guy moved. He did stupid things. He comes back, and the guy I was dating is like, that's my best friend. I've never heard of him. What are you talking about? And he goes, well, we were friends. He carried my grandmother's casket. We are forever. And I'm like, he's an awful human being. You haven't been friends for the last 10 years. You can objectively look at him and see this awful human being. He does terrible things. You're calling him your friend because of the history that you've had. His humanness does not serve your humanness, but you're going back. He carried my grandmother's casket. We are forever friends. I'm like, why? And I find that interesting because I do know folks that are like, oh, I've known them since kindergarten. Do you even really like them? Because who you were in kindergarten is not who you are at 40, 30, 50. Allow yourself to grow and shift. I do know people who make that history a necessity of their friendship. Do you experience that, or do you know those people?
I definitely know those people. I default to lifetime too, and I think a lot of people do. They instantly become friends with someone, they expect it to be a lifetime relationship. Yeah. Anytime a relationship fails, it's always something failed versus I learned and I'm moving forward. Okay, that didn't work, or it did work. See, that's the other scenario. If it didn't last a lifetime, did it not work? If it was only a reason or a season, did it not work? No, it served its purpose. I don't think we acknowledge that enough. That the ride or die. I've seen same thing happens with blood relatives. Ride or die, that's my blood. Sorry, I'm not part of the honor society. I don't believe that I have to honor blood. If you're a jerk, I don't care if you're my blood. I'm not interested. I don't want to play. I only have so much time on this earth, and I'm going to play with who I want to play with. So I'm going to make decisions based on what's absolutely best for me and my family and my time. And another thing that sometimes causes those relationships to fall apart is that unbalanced effort. You're showing up and they're not, or they're showing up and you're not. If I'm showing up, it's because I want this, but you're not wanting it anymore. Look, at least we text if we want to break up with someone. It's like, oh, you got broke up with over text, but friendships don't seem to have an end breakup point. I think sometimes we need that. And it's really unfortunate that we don't, because I think that could be beneficial. How do you break up?
Yeah, you're right. There is no real ending to something like that. I could look at somebody and be like, oh, I used to be friends with them. I don't know what that means. Are we not friends anymore? Or does the proximity or the things that we're talking about, the lack of time to get together, did it just fizzle, or was there an actual thing that stopped it? And I can say that I've experienced both in life. There was an actual thing that's not going to work. We're done. And there's also been we keep missing each other. We're not able to connect. And as we are in these pivotal years of growth in our lives, we grow apart.
Yeah.
And that's really where most of my friendships have gone, is just a growing apart. There was no, I hate you for whatever. It's just, oh, we used to be friends. That was my best friend in high school. We're not best friends anymore, whatever that means. I have 5 best friends because I utilize each of them differently.
Well, I just had recently a scenario where I'm in that friendship limbo. I think our friendship's over because of what happened and the way you treated me, but I don't know. I probably will never talk to this person again. I don't know. I'm in that space. And I said to my husband, should I text this person and I want to say, is this it? And he's like, do you really think it's worth it? And I was like, no. So I guess that makes the decision.
Are there people in your life that are worth it?
I had a little bit of an experience with someone who was worth it. And I absolutely, it took us a moment to come back. We both had to take a breather. We came back. I can't not come back to this because this is an important relationship to me. And she felt the same way. It took a minute, it took a beat, and we had to give ourselves some space. I think if it is worth it, you are going to do that. And that's the question you have to ask yourself sometimes is this worth fighting for? It's like any relationship. Is this relationship worth fighting for? You know, this is one of my 5 and serves a big role in my life. And because of that, that was really important to me and it mattered. I think that's where it is.
I would say that those very, very close, energetic friendships are very much like a partnership, because we're not calling a partnership a friendship as defined at the beginning of this, which is we get messy as humans. My closest have seen me in all of my shit, swimming in it. Just like, I don't even want to hear your sunshiny stuff because I am swimming in my shit. And those people, I think for me, who have seen that, not judged the mess that I showed up as and allowed me to be, are those people that are those 5 or 6. Then also my very closest friends. Sometimes I'm an asshole. Sometimes my D in the disc profile. Sometimes I have a thought and I just am very direct and I forget hey, good morning, how are you? Sometimes I do that. And the people who love me the most, the people who I'm like, I can't live without you. Those people are the ones that aren't, oh, well, Jen didn't say good morning before she got right into the thing, because they know me. They know me well enough to be.
Jen, you're telling me none of those people go, knock, knock, asshole. You're being a jerk.
That's what makes them the good ones. Some of them. I've gone back in text messages. I had a thought on my brain from the night before. I woke up and I sent the text. And it was just a straight question to one of my best friends. And she wrote back, good morning. And I went, oh shit, I'm sorry. I was thinking about this last night. She goes, I know, it's fine. And it's not well, good morning. It was just Jen, get out of your D right now. It's first thing in the morning.
Say kind words before we ask our questions.
Yes. And so thank God for those people, because I would have no friends if people didn't just recognize the cynical bitch in me sometimes. My most recent best friends. Have you ever been in this? No new friends. I'm out. I am at my limit. I've got babies. I've got a person. I've got businesses. No new friends. I cannot maintain a new friendship. And this person was like, we're going to be friends. I sat at lunch with this person and I was like, God damn it. I was as cynical a bitch as possible. And she was, no, we're going to be friends. And we are best friends. And I just met her not even 2 years ago. Man, thank you for not setting me aside. And she only heard me talking on a video like this. She heard some coaching stuff that I was throwing out. She was like, I need to know that person. No new friends. I'm not in a space. I can't. I have a baby. I have a toddler. I can't maintain, because then I'll feel guilty for being the one that dropped the ball. So I just shut down. No new friends. And she was like, no, we will be friends. And we are. And thank God.
When you're not looking for it, that's when it shows up. I'm telling you. So I
Yeah.
have a question for you, Coach Jen.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a friendship where jealousy shows up? You're doing well, things are good for you, and your friend is showing up in jealousy.
I am not a jealous person myself in
Mhm.
regard to friendships. In intimate relationships, like with my partner, I do find jealousy in myself, not overbearing, weird, like light your shit on fire. I'm too subtle for that. I myself don't recall a time where I have shown up as jealous of a good friend. I am very much a cheer you on. I want everything good for you because I want you to want that for me as well. Now, that being said, I remember being younger, and I hope that this would show up more younger than older, but you know how people evolve. I remember I played all the sports. I was on All Stars all of the time. I got good grades. That was just who I was and what I was doing. And I didn't understand this because I wasn't giving it, but there would be times where I would go to my mom and be like, "How come so and so did this to me?" or you know, right? And my mom would have to tell me, "Well, they're jealous of you. You're always chosen for All Stars. She's not. She's probably jealous." And I would go, "Why?" Like it wasn't a concept that made sense to me in friendship or what I thought was friendship. Those were also those constructed, you're in the same grade on the same team kind of friendships. The one time I can admit that I was jealous, but it wasn't of a friend. It was when I knew I was ready to have a baby and everybody was getting pregnant. And I was like, what in the actual? My life was very strange at that point in time. And I was like, she's on drugs. She gets a baby. What? And so I found jealousy inside of me going, maybe I don't get this in my life. That was very much the time clock. That I can describe as I was jealous of this individual for making life moves that didn't seem like they were going to happen for me. That was 7 years ago. And that's how I remember jealousy showing up. And she was a friend of a dear friend. So that's how we knew each other. In adulthood, I can't say that I've found anybody jealous of me. I look at my life and I go, jealous of what? I don't know. Does that show up for you?
It does. You know, I have a very blessed relationship with my husband, and I have had multiple friendships that have exploded simply because they were not happy that I was in a very happy relationship. And it makes me talk less about my relationship now because of what happened with those friendships. I don't talk that much
Really?
about my relationship anymore because I realize women are pissed that I have, you know, a 30+ year marriage and a happy one. And the people I want to be around are the ones that go, good for you. That's what we want
Yeah.
for you. Because I want everything for my friends. Now, did I in my 20s? Probably not, because I was a bit of an asshole when I was in my 20s. I was pretty self-centered. Now, at this point in my life and probably my 40s, my friends, I wanted everything for them.
Yeah.
I want every one of my friends to win the lottery, and I'll just hang out with you guys. You pay for my trip, so I don't even need the money. I want them to have happy, fulfilled, content lives. I want all the success for my friends. So when you were talking about when you'd go to your mom and go, why is this person like this? I go to Tim and I'm like, why is this person like this? And Tim's like, because she's jealous of you. And I'm like, what?
Wow.
I live in this life. Yes, I have a great relationship, but I also have shit. Like, I have the shit.
Everybody.
Too. Yeah,
Everybody
I'm
does.
human.
So let's touch on that though. Social media didn't exist when you and I were growing up. It makes me feel very old right now. So there wasn't this post the best days. There wasn't the fancy vacation. You're only seeing the good days. There was none of that. And we see it in young adults. I have to pay attention to it now because I have a 3, 5, and 10-year-old and how social media is shaping friendship. And what that will or will not look like as far as depth for my kids, even. But even as adults, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we're seeing all the things. And I don't post because I don't think about it because I never had a computer in my pocket growing up. My media person gets mad at me because I don't take enough pictures and video. Okay. But I'm thankful that we didn't have that and that wasn't anything that shaped my friendships back then. But I very much worry about that with the younger kids. Also, why is somebody, an adult, like you and I are very open about feelings and stories, and why has somebody not gone over themselves like that? There's adults on social media pining after what other adults have in jealousy. And how does that show up in real life for us now?
It's a great question. I think social media serves some incredible purposes and also some horrible purposes. If you look at most people, what they're posting is the pretty stuff and they're not posting the raw stuff. That's why we actually have to have close connections outside of social media, because we need to see the raw in others. That's so important. I want to feel like I can call a friend and cry or have my moments of looking and feeling at my lowest, because I think that helps feed the connection way more than the fakeness of my life is great, everything's fantastic. I recently stopped also posting. I did a little bit on our big trip this year, but I don't really post my vacations anymore. And one of the reasons is because I feel like, first of all, there's people who can always see what I'm doing that maybe I don't want them to see. And there's also those people who are like, why is that bitch always going somewhere? Well, because I worked to get here. You don't know my journey. You don't know my story. You don't know where I'm at. And you don't know why I can do what I do. So I'm careful because I don't want that jealousy and that hate to show up. And I don't care if it's a stranger as much. When it's somebody that I know or that I have a relationship with and there's a comment that isn't great, that's painful. I've been through that. That's where my wound is. And that's where I have fear around that. So you'll notice I haven't really posted a lot of things lately. I posted nothing from my last vacation.
That makes me sad that there are those people. I'm on the opposite side, Nicole, at this point in my life and what I've been through and what I've learned in becoming a coach and really understanding so much about myself more so than ever. I am very much like, fuck them. I don't care. If you're not supporting me and who I am and what I'm doing, go fix yourself, dude. It's very much like an approach in my coaching too. There's nothing broken in me that says everything about you. Like, fuck them. That's just where I go. And I can't think about it any further, because if I think about it, I would allow myself to be, well, maybe I shouldn't, because maybe you'll let people, but it's not you. Fuck them. That's what I say. I'd be like, Nicole, you post that shit. I want to see it. I want to talk about how cool that place was. I want the recommendations for when I ever get to go. Let them fix them. Mel Robbins, one of my favorite coaches. Everybody knows who Mel Robbins is. Jen Davis says, fuck them. Mel Robbins is nicer. She says, let them. Somebody wants to have an opinion about the way you raise your children, let them. Somebody wants to have an opinion about the vacations that you go on, let them. It doesn't really have anything to do with your world. I don't let those people in. Or if they're in and they begin to act that way, they very quickly understand that you don't get to do that if you're going to know me. If you want in, you really have to want in. I've been through too much where if there's no support on this side, if energetically I don't feel good around you, or if you're going to make snippy comments, you just don't get me anymore. I guess that's my ego. You're missing out. That's your loss. So sad story for you. Nicole, post all your shit, please.
The people I want to see those pictures, I send them the pictures. So they know where I am, what I'm up to. My close friends know what's going on. They know where I'm at. I probably could more, and I need to get better at social media anyway. I really stepped away a lot because I had so many people who I wasn't connected with, like truly connected with. I think that's part of what's going on there. So in friendship, so this will be a good one for you, Coach Jen, because you're kind of an expert on communication. So miscommunication, friendships suffer from misunderstandings or lack of clarity.
Yeah, you and I both love knowing that clarity is power. Have there been friendships or acquaintances that I've lost because of this? Undoubtedly. One thing I used to do is I used to have a conversation in my head and then open my mouth halfway through and expect that the other person would have had the experience that I just had in my head, and they're working off of half the context. I mostly did that back in my dating years with boyfriends. That was my version of friendship. And I'm thinking of one specifically. We were great friends through high school, and we attempted to come back after college and be friends. So much had happened. And I remember wanting that friendship back so badly that I kind of eliminated my need for the reciprocation. I was just on board. I was doing whatever the thing was. She needed a lot of support in that moment. I thought I can do that. Well, I was struggling with my own thing, and she told me some information that was very embarrassing. And I was like, I will take this to my grave. She was having trouble with a husband, and it got intense for me. It got very intense, and I couldn't hold all of this information anymore. So I, without being specific, relied on a dear friend of mine. Well, miscommunications occurred. Somebody said something, and then all of a sudden she hated me for something that I did or didn't do, when it was very much in my mind a misinterpretation or a misunderstanding, but we were no longer friends. And that sucked. I was like, I tried so hard for this. That's very, very much one specifically that I'm like, ooh, okay, maybe I could have handled that better or differently. Or maybe I shouldn't have said something, or maybe I should have said more, just all of the things that you're replaying in your minds. Yeah, clarity is power, but also the ability to be vulnerable with somebody in communication. You've heard me talk about the 4 agreements, not taking anything personally, having the courage to ask questions in the non-assuming portion of that. And so those deep friendships, I'm just ego out. Did I say something? If I messed up, I need to know, because this matters to me and I want to fix it. But so many of us don't really want to set the ego aside for something that may or may not serve us. I'll be the first one to be like, did I fuck up? I might have fucked up. Maybe I did. Can you tell me, please? I don't know what I did. Please tell me.
Yeah.
But some people can't or won't tell you. That's part of the miscommunication. They either can't or won't tell you what happened, or maybe they can't own it in themselves, because it takes 2.
Coach Jen, I want to do a little exercise with you, which I think would be interesting to do with all of your friends, just to get a little clarity around your friendships. These are 10 desires of friendships. We're going to do some ranking. I'm going to give you 3, and I want you to tell me which one is a priority for you. Okay. Quality, support, or trust? Which one is the most important to you?
Quality time.
Okay.
That is one of my love languages in general. If anybody knows anything about love language, quality time is so up there. That is on purpose, meaningful time together. That is how I get to go deeper with somebody and really truly know if they're one of my people. I would say trust is next. And then supportive. Yeah, you hope that in your friends, but also everybody's got different versions of life. I hope a friend would be supportive, but also I'm not making decisions because of a lack of support from somebody most of the time. So that would be my ranking.
Okay. So my ranking would be trust first. Trustworthy and dependable. I need my friends to be dependable. I don't know what it is. I think it's maybe like a trauma thing, but I really need them to be dependable. I think quality time would be number 2 for me, because that is important. And I'm with you with the supportive. Supportive is important, but I need you to be trusting more than anything.
Now, what does dependable mean to you? What kind of things does a friend have to do in order to qualify as dependable?
So trusting is like in the scenario you were talking about before. If I tell you something in confidence, I need you to keep the confidence. That would be number 1. Trustworthy and dependable. They'll show up when needed. I'm not a super needy person, and my friends know that. They also know if I call you and I need you and I say I need you, they will be there for me. That just being willing to show up in that way. Trust them with confidences and trust them with showing up. Being a trustworthy friend, I think, has a certain level of integrity toward how they treat you. They're not going to talk bad about you behind your back. Does anybody ever do that anymore? I don't have time to be talking about my friends.
Small minds.
Let alone be back.
I think that's where I chose quality time, because I'm thinking I get to understand how trustworthy somebody is inside of that time, because I'm very much a voyeur.
There you go.
I will watch what you do, how you do it, what you say. I will watch all of that in our time together to decide if you are that trustworthy person that I really want to allow in. Not that I've gotten burned though, just that's how I've done it. And if I've made a bad choice, then I go, oh, I made a bad choice there. I change it.
It happens, that's for sure. Okay,
All right.
Next 3. Loyalty, shared interests, authenticity.
Definitely authenticity. Number 1 for me of all time. I want my friends to be all of who they are all the time. Zero guessing. Be as authentic as possible. Because here's a fun thing about me. I don't care if you're an asshole, but if you're regularly an asshole and I know that you're an asshole, I love that. because I know what I'm showing up to. I don't have a lot of difficult time with people because I let them be who they are. Very often I hear people go, that person, da, 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 or that person. I don't take those experiences from other people. I really attempt to create my own authentic experience with everybody in front of me individually. And I want to determine that on my own. But certainly authenticity is number one for me beyond. So shared interest, yeah, that's cool. That enables me to hang out with somebody. It's better to be with somebody doing something you both enjoy versus feeling like somebody needs to be there. That's cool. And maybe that's where most of my friendships have come from. Loyalty, that's a weird thing for me. I think it's not necessary that a friendship withstand time. I don't find the history of a friendship more important than the experience of the time of the friendship. So that's a strange one for me. So authenticity, shared interest, loyalty, because to each their own. I would consider myself a very loyal friend, though. I'm not running around trashing friendships just at a whim.
Yeah.
So if that's what loyalty means, I don't know. That's a tough one for me. What are yours?
I would actually do the same order. So authenticity, number one. I want everyone in the world to be incredibly authentic to who they are. Now, some of you are not going to jive with me. If you are an asshole, you and I are probably not going to be friends because I'm perceiving you as an asshole. Other people are not going to perceive you as an asshole. So I think authenticity is important because it just makes it so much easier for me to figure out who I want to hang out with and who I don't, frankly. Shared interests. It's nice to have some values and interests that are similar. That's definitely an important one for me. Loyalty. Yeah, withstanding the test of time, I have friendships that just because I didn't meet this person when I was in kindergarten doesn't mean they're not super good friends. So right. I also think when you get into the loyalty, when you're talking long-term and you're concerned about it being long-term, I think you get into that whole, they carried grandma's casket, so I have to be friends with them. I don't get into that. If you're my friend, I'm loyal to you, but time does not create loyalty for me.
The thing that I enjoy about maybe what we're talking about is loyalty is withstanding change. Some of my very best friends have seen me change over and over and have just rolled with it. I like this version of you just as much as this version of you. And so in regard to loyalty, I think that's very cool. If somebody were to come to me and be like, that Nicole, she's da-da-da-da, no, she's not. I know her. That to me is loyalty. Yeah. I know her well enough that you're talking out your ass. That's just not, that's loyalty to me. The ability to be, no, I know her, that's not right. To stand up to something that's really not right in that friendship. That's what loyalty means to me. And if we're going to define it like that, then that's further up on my list.
Yeah. The next three: mutual respect, empathy, flexibility.
Mutual respect is very important. Flexibility. Okay, I'm defining flexibility as like I forgot to hit the send button and a week and a half later I go, man, I haven't heard from so-and-so. Where they been? And it was my fault because I forgot to hit the send button. Is that what we're saying is flexibility?
I think that's a form of flexibility. This says a friendship dynamic that allows space for personal growth and change. So I think it's a bigger level of flexibility. I think there's flexibility at all levels. It's that range. There's a flexibility around the email, small flexibility, but then also the bigger flexibility.
Oh, only because there are no rules to this. I'm going to go ahead and lump in mutual respect and flexibility as one. And here's why. If mutual respect has to do with allowing for personal growth and change, which is flexibility, then absolutely throw those two together for me. Because I can respect you at each version of you. And I'm allowing for that. I'm respecting that change is part of life. So those two are kind of one and the same for me. If I can define it as that, that matters so much to me. Because those who have seen me go from not a coach to a coach and live the things that I coach, that I practice what I preach. Those people who have seen that in me and have allowed for it respect me. And I can feel it and I know it. And if there was any naysayer towards that, I would feel not respected. I very much am of, and you've heard me say it, and everybody I work with hears me say it, you get to decide at any given moment, any second in the day that you want to be different. I encourage that if it serves your greater good. Well, and I've had these people, you've changed. Yeah, I changed. Sure shit, I changed. They didn't want that version of me. That's okay. It's painful sometimes because you question yourself, you question your growth, you question your expansion, but ultimately you've changed. Yeah, I've changed. It's those people that go, you've changed versus you've changed. Let's celebrate all of it. I think that flexibility has its own respect. And then empathy. I find empathy hard regularly. I have to work very hard to be an empathetic person. I had kids, so that's helping quite a bit. But I can't judge somebody on their ability to empathize or not. I think that falls into, if you're going to be a jerk, then we're just not going to be friends. If you have an ability to empathize with, I was tired or the kids were, then that's cool. That works for us. And I'm going to also allow you to be whatever needs. And that's empathy. I think that that's very important, but also if we can't have empathy with each other, we're more than likely not going to be friends anyway. I'm ranking these funny. What's your...
Well, I want to talk about empathy just a second more, because I think sometimes this is utilized at a very high level by some friends and it pisses me off. You want me to feel sorry for you all the time. Now you're just living in victimhood. That's not where my empathy comes in. Don't show up constantly in this space and expect me to just empathize with you over and over again. That's why I would put that as third. I mean, I want you to listen to my story, and if I'm having a struggle. So in that sense, I do need you, but I would put that as the last one. And I would probably put mutual respect as first, because I think no matter what, we have to respect each other. And I think respect is where everything comes from. Flexibility for personal growth and change, I would have normally put that first, but I really think mutual respect has to come first, then flexibility.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
It's important.
I mean, like we're two different people who happen to be friends. It sounds like we have similar desires in what friendship needs to look like for us.
Yes.
Did this stuff exist 30 years ago for you?
No, I would say my desires in a friendship has evolved. When you're in kindergarten or first grade, you just want someone to like you and play with you. If you play with me and you like me and you show me a little bit of kindness, I will be your friend. The level of kindness I need will advance as I get older. Actually, it goes a little backwards when we become teenagers, because then we're just idiots and we want to, I don't know how we form friendships. That's a whole nother podcast. How teenagers form friendships. No, but I think as you get older, I think you get smarter about the friends you choose. And I think you get to a point where you realize what of these things are important. That's why I said, I think it'd be fun to go through this, because if you had a friend and you said, do you prefer quality time, trust, or support from me? And you're actually asking for yourself, that's a nice thing to know what your friend values, because if they value something different than you do, then you can know what's important for them in showing up. And I don't think we ever ask these questions.
Yeah, they just kind of come up, huh?
Yeah, they sort of do. And I could probably answer these questions pretty clearly for the friends that I have. But would I be 100% accurate? I'm not sure, because I never actually asked the question. But I think just being asked the question is kind of interesting. Would I have ever asked these questions in my 20s? Yeah. No, I didn't have the functionability as a human.
So self-absorbed.
So self-absorbed. So no, my friendships have 100% evolved as I've gotten older. I think that's the point of being a human, is an evolution through the time that you're in. You're sort of in that time where you've got kids, you're in a time crunch of life right now. Small talk? Are you freaking kidding me? Just pretend you don't see me. And I'm at the point where I need friendships and I'm seeking friendships. So small talk, I'm all in, because I don't know what that might lead to. It's a different space in our lives depending on where we're at. I don't have little ones at home. I don't have that big drain on my time.
That is hard to maintain friendships. It is tough. You're like, I got to find a babysitter. I got to get somebody on board to just meet you.
Are you worth the money it's going to cost me for a babysitter?
How to decide on friends. Will you come to my house and listen to my kids scream while you and I try to have a conversation? Or if we're on the phone and the kids start tugging at me and I'm yelling at them, can we still maintain a conversation? That's how I know you love me. We're good. We're good.
I think you and I have had plenty of Zoom calls with you with a baby attached to your boobie, girl. I'm like, fine with me, whatever you got to do. Like, I don't care. Life is life.
Gotta feed this dude, you know?
There you go. I remember that.
I love that. I had a friend that told me, Jen, if you had another baby, we couldn't be friends. And, I appreciated her for saying that out loud. I go, shit.
Ouch.
I don't think I would have any friends if I had another baby. I can't do this. I am not that.
You were like, I'm at capacity.
I can't. And so I was just like, yeah, you're right. And thank you for being that transparent. This is how I know I can trust people. Yes, you said that out loud. Thank you.
Oh my God.
I didn't take offense to it. I was like, oh my God, I wouldn't have any friends if I had another baby.
See, that's really interesting. I had a friend talk about the dumb shit friends say. So I had thrown her 2 baby showers. She had 2 girls, threw her one for the first one, threw her one for the second one. I had my 2 boys. She threw me one for the first one, for the second one. She walked up to me after the second one and said, now we're even and I'm done.
She does not sound fun, Nicole.
I
don't
was like,
this
so
person."
you just threw this for me to pay me back, not because you're my friend and you wanted to. I threw her baby showers because I thought it'd be fun. I didn't even know this until the very end. And she's like, now we're even and I'm done. And I was like, holy shit, you are not the friend I want. All right, girlfriend. We got to go for some takeaways.
We gotta go. We are a very small subset, and I think that one of my takeaways is that it seems to be a pattern in folks' lives that quantity versus quality as we get older. So it seems like that is a common strand. I think a takeaway for me is that if I would have known myself sooner or understood that everybody had their own thing and that I didn't need to be as attached to those relationships as I was, then that might have made growth a little bit easier. Really just wishing people well on their journeys, I think is the best way to go about it. Because when we approach with love and just the want for good things for people, I don't think you lose friends at a certain point. You may distance yourself. I think that the ability to say, oh, that's my friend 30 years later, even if we haven't talked for 30 years, would be a very cool thing. So had I known these things growing up, that may have made the survival portion of losing a little bit better. So I think that that's a takeaway just from hearing your similar experiences. And we grew up worlds apart different. If that's a common theme in people's lives, then that's my takeaway, is that don't take yourself so seriously.
Yeah, that's so true. I have two things. First of all, when we were talking about the reason, season, and lifetime, I think I never really, until we were verbalizing in here, thought that we really do look at relationships as if we're forming lifetime bonds. Mm-hmm. And I think in the beginning, we have to go, wait, reason, season, lifetime. I don't know where it's going to fall, and hold a little more loosely to that. This is going to be a lifelong relationship, because I think it also puts the pressure on the relationship. Mm-hmm. And I think coming into it, it'll be a reason, could be a season, could be a lifetime. I'm not going to hold too tightly to that. When you talk about, not taking things personally, I think we set ourselves up to take things personally when we think of relationships as these are going to be lifelong. We don't know what they're going to be. Let them be what they're going to be, and let that be okay. And the second takeaway is, I would love to, no joke, I would love to know a good way to break up as friends. I don't know what that looks like. So maybe there's listeners that have ideas of what would be a good way to break up as friends so that you leave amicably.
I think it's like any relationship. You have to be two evolved humans that really just want the best for each other. And that's tough. That's a tough thing to find, because if you're to the point of breaking up, then some major things have happened in which we have our own perspective. So I would be interested too, if a listener has, maybe there's been a mutual agreement, we're just going to go our ways and we're fond of each other. I don't know those people. It's either like we're friends or.
And it's interesting when you're talking about, if you break up with a relationship, you would want that relationship to move to friendship status. So if you break up with a friendship, you want it to move to, we'll call it inner circle friendship, outer circle friendship, acquaintance. You want that inner circle person to be either an outer circle friendship or an acquaintance, but how do you move that person to that next level in a way that there's clarity around it? Because I feel like a lot of times there's not clarity.
Define it as no hard feeling. Can we just move about our lives with no hard feeling? Can we not think about each other and like detest a situation or have a negative? Can we just move forward as though, cool, high five. Yeah. We're going to go now.
Moving on.
I don't know. You know what? I think about it like in professional sports, like on a football team, you're drafted to a new team. Like you've been at this one team for 7 years, and then all of a sudden next year you're out. Like that's how I would like to see friendships break up. That's my ideal world.
I like that.
All right. We got questions. Can I go first?
Sure.
Okay. What is the scariest thing you have ever done for fun?
Okay. The definition for fun has to be clarified. Okay. So I was in this course and we had to do two things that scared us. One for business and one for personal. So the business thing I did was I wrote a book and I did it in 60 days. So that was the very first book I
have
out.
That book. Is that the book I have?
I don't know. Is that the mom's book? 60 Days to Self-Love for Moms?
Nope.
Oh, okay. So that was my first book. So I wrote that book. That was number one. And for the second thing I did, I jumped out of an airplane with my son, and it was exhilarating and amazing. And I swear to you, we went up into the air in a friggin' giant soup can. I mean, this thing was like, there was one seat. It was for the pilot. We were on the floor. It was the cheesiest plane I've ever seen. My husband was like, I thought you guys were going to crash. We did it over Sedona. We actually landed in Cottonwoods. This was the funniest part, though. My son, I got to watch him go out first, and I think he was 18. You're strapped to somebody, and they're harnessed to you, and you have to put your hands up on your shoulders and fold them in so that you don't get in their way. So I see my son, the guy will rock forward and he goes, we're going out on 3. And my son would grab the sides on number 3. And the guy's like, no, you got to put your hands here and you got to rock forward. Keep your hands in, keep his hands on the side. Oh my gosh, my son doesn't even want to leave the plane. So they get out. Getting out the plane was not the funnest. You're terrified. But then once they let the parachute, it's such a great feeling. You're just floating. There's somebody driving, because I don't know how to drive this thing.
Yeah.
And I remember at one point he gave me the ropes and let me kind of drive a little bit. And then at one time he was spinning and I was like, stop that, because the world's spinning too fast. It was awesome. We had a lot of fun, and it was because of a class, and it was terrifying. I was terrified.
I love it.
Not something I would have done any other ways.
I've been twice, and that's enough. Both times before children. For fun. Yay.
For fun. See? You're riskier than I am. So my question for you, Coach Jen, is what do you wish you knew before you had children?
Oh, we don't have enough time for this. So there's an extreme difference between having the knowledge of something and then having the practical application of something. And I grew up in an in-home daycare. And so I was around children every day, my whole life. My mom started when I was 2. She started when my brother was born. I had a very basic understanding of kids. They're loud, they eat, they sleep, they poop. And at my house, they go home at 5:00 and they're not here on the weekends. And I was good with that. And I never wanted kids because best birth control ever. Grew up in an in-home daycare. Well, I thought that I had a pretty good understanding. I had changed diapers and fed kids and, all of that. And I did not know. And you hear moms and parents talk about it all the time, but I did not have the depth of knowledge of how intense at the very same time love and all of the other shit can occur simultaneously. And I know that we are adapted as humans to look at our littles and be like, oh my God, this is the most amazing. So we don't kill them. And there had to have been an evolutionary plan for that, because you want to kill them. You want to kill them. And then you look at them, you go, oh my God, I've never felt so much love. So I think that I wish that I would have had a better understanding of the experience of how insanely dualistic this parenting life is. The I love you and I can't stand you all at the same time. And any parent who says otherwise, you're fucking lying. You're lying.
Or you just have one.
Oh. Or they go, oh, number 2 is always different. Sure, shit, number 2 is always different. Oh my God. Yeah, no, I wasn't prepared for that. And I don't know how you can prepare for that. So I just wish that I would have had some experience in life, but there isn't one. And outside of the laundry list of once you learn something, it changes. Sleep looks like this or doesn't like there's certainly the laundry list of logistics that I wish I would have known, but just very the depth of the dualistic characterization of what parenthood is. I wish I would have had a better lead in for that one.
Nice. Great answer. Yeah, that's a really good point. And nothing prepares you for that. That's why when somebody says, oh, when I have kids, I'm going to do this. Yeah, go have them first, sucker. Because it's not going to be what you think it is. Yeah. My kids will never do that. My kids will never do that before they even have them. Yeah. Then those will be the ones that deny that their kids do anything. My kid doesn't bite. Well, your kid just started biting.
Yeah. There's a social media page I follow. I wish I knew it right now. He has a shirt that he wears regularly. And it says, I was a great parent before I had kids too.
When I was in Key West, I bought some coasters. And my favorite one is, I really want to be a good parent, but I feel like I'm going to need some different kids.
That is so funny because it's not me. It's certainly not me. No. I saw another one. It was I feel like I would be a much better parent if it wasn't this whole 24/7, 365 thing. Why is it full time?
The other one I got from me, because it kind of plays into our friendship theme, was I'm torn between having friends and correcting grammar. That's me. Shut up, Nicole. Shut up.
I hear you.
Oh, this was a blast.
Fun.
We like this one.
Yes, it was.
We like friendship.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate your friendship, Coach Jen, and thank you for today. This was
Back
awesome.
At ya. Thank you. Thank you for always showing up for us.
Bye.
Write your lines with passion.